Hello. In this video, we will going to implement the EIGRP protocol. So in the class, we have already discussed about the classification of a routing protocol. And there are three classification: static routing protocol and your default routing protocol and the dynamic routing protocol. So EIGRP comes under your dynamic routing protocol. So EIGRP implementation is very simple and it is similar to your OSPF. But the thing is that in OSPF, we while adding the network during on a router, we actually have to add the wildcard subnet mask along with the network ID. And one more thing that is important in the OSPF is to specify the area. But in EIGRP, we need not have to worry about the wildcard subnet mask and the area. But in EIGRP, we have one thing which is very important is that is the autonomous system number, which we have to like configure while configuring the EIGRP. And during the implementation, I will tell you that which number is considered to be the autonomous system number. But one thing, please keep in mind that while specifying the autonomous system number, you have to remember that number, and that number we have to like configure on every router, and then only the adjacent neighboring will be established, and then the router will able to populate the route information in its routing table. Okay, so during the implementation, I will make it more clearer to you that which number is considered to be the ASN number, which is what is the autonomous system number that you have to remember. Okay, so let me first to show you that which network topology we will going to implement. Uh, Okay, so this is what is the topology that we have to implement. And if you see here, this is what is the network infrastructure, and this network infrastructure is containing the four router, and this all these devices are the end devices, and these devices are actually on a separate subnets. Okay, so if you see here, so this subnet is a 1.0/24. This is what is your 2.0. This is 4.0 and this is 3.0. And if you see the between the router, this is again a subnet, and the network ID of this subnet is your 10.0.0.0/24. So this means that this is not belonging to any classful IP addressing. These are the classless IP addressing. And if you see here, so this 10, 20, 30, and 40. These are the subnet or network ID of this subnets. Okay, so based on this, first, again, it is very simple to configure the things because we already have practiced much lot about how to configure the end devices. So in our end devices, we have to configure the same thing about the IP address and about the default gateway. So I'm just giving you one example that if this is the network ID for this particular subnet, then when we configure the PC0, so at that instant, we have to like consider the IP address for this PC0 to be 192.168.1.2, because 1.1 will be given to this particular port. Okay, so this is considered to be the default gateway for this particular PC. Fine. And if you when you configure this particular interface on this port, which is what is labeled as FA0/0, so this a port will be configured to be 192.168.1.1, which is what is the default gateway for this PC. Okay, so quickly we will configure all the thing, and later on we will configure the EIGRP on every router. Okay, and we'll show you that how to execute the EIGRP command and how to configure that. Okay, and so that the end devices can communicate among the different subnets. Okay, so this will be the network infrastructure we will going to implement. So go back onto the Cisco Packet Tracer. Fine. So if you see here, 4 router, let me to drag the 4 router here. So I'm taking PT router. You can take any router, but please check whether that router is providing you that serial communication or not. If it is not, then you can just add the port so that you can connect with the serial communicator. Okay, and this network is very simple. So we will going to add the end devices to every subnet. Okay, and then we will connect it with a cable, which is what is a crossover cable. And this is the crossover cable because of different layer. PC is a 7-layer device and router is a 3-layer device. So now for router to router, this will be the serial communication. This then router 1 to router 3. Okay, so this is what, and now I have to like explicitly I have to like specify the label in order to just give me that what is the network ID so that I can configure without seeing, you know, that what is the subnet ID of that particular subnet. So 192.168.1.0, I guess, slash 24. Yeah, 1.0/24. Let me to just copy it because this is the pattern that is actually is following in every subnet. So this is your 4.0 and then is your control V. Then this is what is your 3.0 I. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then 10.0, 30, 20, 30, and 40. Okay. So this is what is your 10.0.0.0/24. And this is your, I guess, 30. Yeah. So it is 30.0.0.0/24, 20.0.0.0/24, and this is your 40.0.0.0/24. Okay, so this is just a design. I have not configured anything on any of the devices. Okay, so this is just giving me the idea that this is the network infrastructure and these are the subnet IDs. Okay, and the subnet mask is also is written here. If any student is having still is having any doubt that what is this 24, 24 is nothing but it is actually showing the your slash notation. It is specifying that 24 is means the subnet mask is of length 24, which is what is 24 times your 1, which is what is your 255.255.255.0. Okay, so let me to start with this PC0. So when I configure PC0, so I will go on to desktop IP configuration. So this just detailing is about the student who actually have not attended the class and still is having certain kind of doubt. Then please see here that this is what is the design principle that I am following, and it is also is what is recommending that whenever it is if this is the network ID and then the IP address should be like your IP address should be next to next address, which is what is 1.2. Reason behind is that the next address of the of this network is what is 1.1. Okay, so it is good. It is the default gateway should be this. Okay, but you can give any number based on the pattern of this network ID. Okay, so this is what is your configuration of the PC. okay, PC0, okay, and I think that this is okay. Then I will go on to directly onto this router because I have already specified the label and I know that uh, that later on I have to configure this thing only. So I know that how to configure the thing. So I will not first I will not go on to every PC to this, you know. I'm just taking the things from left, and so the this is my first and then this is the second, and then I can move on to this, then so on and so forth. Okay, so let me configure this router 0. So first I will take FA0 oblique 0. So I will go on to fast Ethernet 0 oblique 0. And the first job is to enable this port. And then I will configure the IP address. So 192.168.1.0 is the network ID. So uh, I have already taken the default gateway for that PC0 to be 192.168.1.1. Okay, so this is what is the IP address that we have to configure for this particular port, and the subnet mask is automatically will be populated, and this is what is the correct your subnet mask. Okay, and so FA0 oblique 0 done. Then I will move on to serial 3 oblique 0. So serial 3 oblique 0, and then again will enable the port, and the IPv4 address for this particular port will be, so the network ID of this is 10.0.0.0 oblique 24. So it means that for 3 octet, I will not allow to update anything on this 3 octet. But yes, the 4th octet can be used for specifying the host. Okay, so this is my, I am considering this as my first host and this to be a second host. So in my configuration, I will configure this as 10.0.0.1. Okay, and the subnet mask by default, the Cisco Packet Tracer populated as 255.0.0.0. So because 10 pattern is coming under is actually coming under the class A, so that is why it is showing. But because this is what is a classless, so and is already specified as a subnet mask to be 24, so I have to configure accordingly. So this is the 10.0.0.1. Okay, so this is, I think, done. And then I will move on to serial 2 oblique 0. So I want to serial 2 oblique 0, and then I will enable the port status to be on, and then the IPv4 address to be 20.0.0. I am not going to to modify anything on this 3 octet. Reason behind it is that it is specified as 24 as a subnet mask. So I will take this as a 0.1 I will take, and this to be a 0.2. So 0.1, okay, and the subnet mask to be again packet tracer, think that it is a class A, and that is why it was populated as 255.0.0.0, but in our case, it is what is specified as /24. So we have to like configure it accordingly. Fine. So I think I'm done with this particular router. I have configured everything. But if you have any doubt, like why it is showing a red color, because still we have not configured this port. So as soon as we configure this port, then it will automatically update it as your label will be converted onto green color. Okay, so I'm done with this router. Now I will move on to this subnet. So first I will configure PC2. Okay, go on to desktop IP configuration and IPv4 address to be 192.168.2.2. Okay, subnet mask to be this. Default gateway will be 192.168.2.1. Okay, so this is what is the default gateway, and then close the PC. And then now I will configure this router. So first of all, go on to the config. So first of all, I will configure the FA0 oblique 0. So go on to FA0 oblique 0, enable the port IPv4 address to be 192.168.2.1. Subnet mask to be 255.0.0.0. 255, this, okay, /24 as per /24. Then the next will be my serial 2/0. Okay, so go on to serial 2/0. Okay, so if anyone is still is having any doubt that why serial 2/0, reason behind is that this port here is labeled as serial 2/0. So I have to configure this port only. So I have to go on to that interface only. So serial 2/0, enable the port and IPv4 address to be 10.0.0. I think that you have remembered that point 1 I have given to this port. So definitely this port will be the next address, which is what is 0.2. And the subnet mask, please update the subnet mask. Don't take as it is, otherwise the solution will be wrong. Okay, because it is specified as /24. So please take /24 only. And as per /24, the subnet mask is what is your this number. Okay. Then I think that this is also is converted onto green color. As I have already told you that once configure this port, it will automatically will convert that onto red color. And now this one is left. So go on to serial 3/0, enable the port IPv4 address to be 30.0.0 again point 1. Okay, because network ID is this /24. So I am considering this port to be my first address. Okay, and that is why I've given that as a point 1. And I think that this is done. Okay. Okay. It means that because /24 is given, so I have to update 255.0. Okay, so this is done. Uh, Close it. Okay, and then I will move on to this network. Okay, so I will first configure the PC3. So PC3, go on to the desktop IP configuration, IPv4 address to be 192.168.4.2 and then 192.168.4.1 is the default gateway. Okay, then router 3 config. So first I will configure FA0/0, enable the port IPv4 address to be 192.168.4.1. Subnet mask is this. Then second will be your, let me to see that this is serial 2/0 or okay. Because if I configure it wrong, then so I think that this is your this port is serial 3/0. I guess so. Serial 3/0. Enable the port, okay, and then IPv4 address to be your 30.0.0. That was 1. So this will be your 2. And then 255.255.0. Yes. And then I think serial 2/0. Okay, serial 2/0. Enable the port IPv4 address to be your or for this 40. So I am considering this as my first address. So 40.0.0.1. Okay, and then subnet mask to be 255.255.0. Okay, fine. So this is done. And now last PC1, config desktop IP configurations, IPv4 address to be 192.168.3.2 and subnet mask this and 192.168.3.1. So close it and now move to this. So config FA 0/0, enable the port, and then IPv4 address to be your uh, yeah 192.168.3.1. Okay, subnet mask is this 3.1. Yeah, okay. Then serial 2/0, enable the port, then IPv4 address. So this port IPv4 address to be 40.0.0. I think you have remembered that one was already I have given to this port. So this will be your two subnet mask. Update the subnet mask 255.255.0. Okay. And then the last one, which is what is serial 3/0, enable the port IPv4 address will be your 20.0.0.2, because one I have already given to this port. So this will be your two. And subnet mask, update this, which is what is 255.255.0. Okay. Fine. I think that done. But please check, because this is quite like the infrastructure is having so many end devices and network devices. So please check first thing that whether in a point to point it is working or not. So this is successful. So let me to go from router this to router one, successful. Okay, again I will flow the packet from PC2 to router 1. Okay, good. Uh, I'm deleting it so that I can see from here only that whether it is properly working or not. Okay, successful. Okay, about this to this, successful. Then from this router to this router, successful. Okay, and from this to this router. Let me check. Yeah, so everything is successful. It means that we have configured till now whatever configuration we did. That is what is correct. Okay, and now the last thing. But if I show you from this PC to this PC3 or PC2, whatever. So if you see here, it will be, this is what is showing failed. Reason behind is that router knows that when the PC when the packet flow from this to this, so this is directly connected because we have already configured the default gateway on this PC. So it is directly connected to this router. So that is why it is showing the successful message. But once when I once to flow the packet to this subnet, you have to like configure the routing protocol on a router. Then only the router can able to decide that how to transmit the packet or where to transmit the packet. Okay, and that is why you have to implement the routing protocol on a router. Then only the packet will be able to route by the router to any other subnet. Please keep in mind, remember this thing very carefully. Flowing the packet point to point is only to check whether the configuration till is okay. But your router will not be capable to route the packet if you are not executing any routing protocol on a router. Okay, so now I will show you that how to configure the EIGRP protocol on a router so that the router can capable to route the packet from one subnet to other subnet. Okay, so I'm giving you that configuration. So click onto the router. Okay, and if you see in a GUI, there is no provision to directly configure the EIGRP from using the GUI. Okay, so what you have to do is that you have to go onto the CLI, which is what is the command line interface, and then If you see here, so this router is in a user mode. You have to enable that by executing the command enable or en, and now you are in administrator mode. But still now, for configuring the router, you have to reach onto the configuration mode. So you have to like execute the command config terminal, and then now I am here in a config mode. Now you can configure your router. So for that, first you have to execute the command router EIGRP, and now I am going to specify the autonomous system number. Okay, so here I am considering though, if I execute like question mark, then it is what is showing me incomplete command. But please recall that during the OSPF, when we executed that question mark, it was showing. Okay, so just if you see here, this is what is the autonomous system number you can take, like from 1 to 65535. Okay, so any number you can take within this range, but please remember that once you take any number, you have to remember, because for every router, then you have to take the same number to configure on any other router. Okay, then only it will going to work. Otherwise, EIGRP will not be able to populate the routing information in its routing table. Okay, so this is a very important thing that you have to remember. In OSPF, that is the number was considered to be the process ID, and any process ID you can take of in the case of your OSPF, but in a EIGRP, you have to like remember the autonomous system number. Okay, so again, I'm just again execute router EIGRP and the autonomous system. Let us suppose that I'm taking that as a 100 as a autonomous system number. Okay, that I have to remember. Okay, so router EIGRP and 100, and then just see here that now I am on a configure router mode. Okay, here I have to add the network. Okay, so if you see here for this router, so add the network means that you need not have to worry about the the network which is out or which is not adjacent with this router. You only have to configure or add the network which is what is adjacent to this particular router. So if you see here in this particular example, 192.168.1.0 is the adjacent to your network, 10 is the adjacent, and 20 is the adjacent for this particular router. So I am going to add this only network on. Okay, so how you have to execute? So just write network and 192.168.1.0. Okay, and as I already told you that you need not have to worry about the subnet mask, not any your wildcard subnet mask, not any area which we actually earlier had specified for the OSPF. But in this case, you need not have to worry about all that thing. Okay, this configuration is very simple. You only have to add the network. So network 192.168.1.0. Okay, similarly, we will going to add for your another adjacent network, which is what is 10.0.0.0. Okay, so 10 point, okay, fine. And then next last network, last adjacent network is your 20 20.0.0.0. Okay, so this is what is your the network that you have to add, because these are the networks that is what is adjacent to this particular router. Okay, now a very important command that you have to execute, which is what is your no auto summary. This particular command is actually is specifying that whatever network you have taken, and actually this network you have not specified any subnet mask. And if you see here, 192.168 is actually falling under class C, 10 is falling under class A, 20 is falling under class A. If you are not specifying no auto summary, then EIGRP will be considered this as a class full. Okay, and if you specify no auto summary, it means that EIGRP will not put any constraint over the class. Okay, so whatever configuration you have taken to configure the router interface, because already you have configured the router interface to be your the subnet mask to be your /24. Okay, though it is your 10 and 20, which is actually coming under class A, but when we configured that interface to be /24, so when you specify no auto summary, EIGRP will automatically consider this as a /24 to be the subnet mask. Okay, so this is the important command that you have to execute, no auto summary. And then the last one, which is what is the end, which is what will going to save your configuration, okay, on a router. Okay, so that is what is the end. Okay, and now we are done with this router configuration, router 0. Okay, similarly we will do for this router 1. So go on to router 1, and the way we configured for router 0, the same thing we will follow here as well. So router, again, go on to the enable, go on to config terminal, and then router, okay, then EIGRP, and then just recall that the autonomous system number that we had taken for that router was 100. So here also we have to take the autonomous system number to be 100. Okay, so 100, and then we will going to add the network. So first network we will add is 192.168.2.0. The second network will be, second network will be 10.0.0.0, because I think this is adjacent. Yeah, yeah. So this is adjacent 10.0.0.0. And then just see here that uh, it is what is populating the information, because once you have given the autonomous number, okay, so it will automatically, it will populate the information about that network. Okay, fine. And then lastly, I have to add 30. Okay, so network, then your 30. Okay, so 30 we will add. Okay, and the same thing will not going to happen like NBR change and that thing, because yet we have not when we do for that router 3, then it will show this type of information. Okay, but currently we have like configured it first time for this router 1, so it will add that network here. Okay, so 30, and then okay, so now you have to like execute no auto summary. Okay, no auto summary, and then end. Okay, so now close this. Done with this. Now I will move on to this router 3. Go on to the CLI, enable, then config T, and then router EIGRP and 100 autonomous system number. Okay, and then add network, and first network I'm going to add is 192.168.4.0. Fine. And then next network 30.0.0.0. And I think that once I execute this command, okay, it will populate the routing information for this network. Okay, so network 30.0, just see here. You know? Okay, and then the network 40.0.0.0. Okay, and yes, done. Then no auto summary, and then end. So done with this router 3, and then last router, router 2, go onto the CLI again. Again, enable config terminal. Okay, and then here router EIGRP autonomous system number 100. Okay, configure router, then add the network. Which network first? 190. Oh, anything, any order you can take. There is no mandatory thing. I'm just following my rule. So that's why. So this router first is connected to 3.0. So 3.0, I think it's okay. Then add the network, your 40. So once I execute this one, okay, it will populate the information, adjacent network information in its routing table network. So just see here the changes. And then again, the last network to add in this is 20.0.0.0. Okay, just see. Yeah. And then now I will specify no auto summary so that EIGRP cannot constrain with that class. Okay, no auto summary. And then end with this to save the configuration in the routing table. Okay, so and okay, so now I can check in any of the router by executing the command कि भाई show IP root, and just see here. Let me to show you the EIGRP. So D is specifying EIGRP. So if you see here, wherever you see the symbol D, so whatever the network, that is what is populated in this particular routing table, that is via the EIGRP protocol. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Okay. So this router has populated the information. So let me check whether the now, because the configuration is completed now I have to check that whether it is correct or not. So before flowing the packet, let I am always actually have a practice to ping in order to establish the connection, and then I can just flow the packet to check that everything is okay or not. Okay, so so I will going to ping this particular PC3, okay, from this PC0, and so and just go on to PC0, go on to the command prompt, and then ping, okay, and 192.168.4 point. So 1 is for this default gateway and about 0.2. Okay, so just see here that reply is coming. It means that configuration is successful. Okay, so now I will show you the flow of packet from this PC0 to PC3. Fine. So just see here the successful status. Okay, let me to show you from this PC0 to PC2. Successful, very nice. And again from this PC to this PC1, very good. And I think that's everything is done. Okay, it is showing the successful status. It means that the configuration is what is correct, and every PC can able to communicate among themselves. Okay, and please keep in mind that without implementing any routing information, routing protocol on a router, your router will not be able to take decision to route the packet from one subnet to another subnet. So please be careful that you have to implement the routing protocol. Okay, and based on whatever routing you want to adopt. Okay, so based on that, you have to like pick any suitable routing protocol for your network infrastructure, and then only it will work. Okay, so thank you very much. Please practice this and implement, and I have provided, I will upload the assignment on a call poll, and that will definitely be a different example that you have to implement, but you can take the reference from this particular video in order to just learn that how to configure the EIGRP, and then please follow and that particular your way to configure the EIGRP on that particular example. Okay, so you have to share the implementation of the example that I will upload on the call. Okay, thank you very much.